I appreciate that that's the discussion today, and oftentimes that discussion devolves into the cost of putting that kid on the bus, as opposed to whether or not it's the right thing to do and whether it's an opportunity for that child, and the question shouldn't devolve to that.
And I'd just like to say one more thing. I know we're taking up some time, but I couldn't agree with you more, particularly with our newcomer students. And we have a program called English Language Alternative Program for high school immigrants, 16, 17, 18-year-old students who want to come to school and have no SIFE, students with interrupted formal education. We have some excellent models, and we gain so much more when we put people in common centers where we can teach larger groups of people and give them career and technical education and workforce development things than disparately around Nassau County where so many of the students are. And yet you're absolutely right, because of the cost we are having trouble getting some of them inside, and we know if they were inside, similar to like Lisa, the potential would be so much larger. It would be so much larger for them.
And I'm just suggesting that if we had a clean slate and we didn't have the model that we currently have, would we design it the same way? And I would think not.
Probably not.
I think that we probably would not have designed it the same way, because this grew organically. The districts were here before BOCES, and BOCES is a product of the districts recognizing that they needed to work collaboratively
Correct.
for certain things. But if we were starting with a blank slate, we'd probably handle it differently. We would probably create regional schools for different types, whether it's music, whether it's engineer, whatever it happens to be. And we would have kids there all day so that they wouldn't be bused back and forth. And we'd figure out a way to pay for it, I would think.
I think you're absolutely right. If we started with a clean slate, we know what works. We know what our higher education institutions, our employers, our workforce development people, and educators, we all know what works. The question is, you're absolutely right, could we create a system that serves everybody a lot better? It's an excellent way of thinking about it, because we have some models. Another new model we have at Nassau BOCES is we're actually putting our career and technical programs in the high schools, our exact certified, credentialed programs in the high schools. And that way the students don't lose transportation, they don't lose time, and we're helping those districts expand because they couldn't afford to do it.
Right.
So, thank you for the opportunity. It's a great conversation.
I appreciate it, and it's interesting. You know, when you challenge the norm, which I think many of our conversations during these hearings have been. It's interesting. It's very interesting. I'm looking forward to a continued dialogue. Thank you for being here.
Thank you so much.
Thank you. Next, we have Bridget Senior, who's the Vice President at Alkin Industries. How are you?
Good. Good afternoon.
Good afternoon. Thanks for being here.
Thank you for having me. I'm a little bit of a first-timer giving my testimony, so you have to bear with me.
Take your time. You're among friends.
Thank you. Yes, I feel that passion from everybody in this room. It's amazing. It's great to be here. I'm a mom, first and foremost, and I run a business, and that's what I know best, but I'd love to be able to be part of the solution of this problem of bridging the gap. My name is Bridget Senior, and I'm one of 3 owners of a machine shop in Ronkonkoma. I say machine shop with tongue-in-cheek because my father would always say it's a world-class manufacturing facility. My other 2 owners of Alkin are my sisters, and there's one that comes with me daily to help run the plant. My father started Alkin in the 70s in Fairchild and Grumman's backyard, and we currently now employ and support 43 families. We build directly for the original equipment manufacturer, the OEMs, and we build to print, so we don't develop our own products at all. Our largest customers are Sikorsky, Lockheed Martin, and direct to the government. We manufacture close-tolerant, hard metal, complex, and manufacturing is our forte, and what we do really matters. As I walk through my shop every day, I like to see and feel what's going on, and I love the humming in the machines, and when I don't hear the humming, I know something stopped making product. I'm not happy. I look around at what's in process, what jobs need to be moved, and I look around and I see my men that are running the machines. And I say men because we only have men out there right now, but they're mostly older men. Yeah. And we at one point had a man who's been there since he's 16 and he's just turned 60, and his 2 sons working there. And his father worked at Grumman, was a machinist there. That's going away. His sons have moved on to another company or moved off the island. He's still there. But again, he's 60, and I have no one to replace him with. And these men are our first lines of defense. The trigonometry they do on the fly is amazing. I love looking through their books to see what they write down. It's amazing what they do and are considered unskilled labor or simple workers or blue collar with such a negative connectivity. But they're our first line of defense in quality, in process improvement, in either saving money or creating waste. So what they do matters. And what they do is a dying art. And unless we find replacements for them, the skill will end with them. And you ask on how we can help with this problem. Training, of course, but awareness. Awareness that there's a career that's not unskilled, that it's quite skilled and quite challenging. You can use, I asked one guy who became a machinist at 30. How'd you become a machinist at 30? Because usually I found it, my friend said, I had a friend who was a machinist, or my father said, go into the military or get a job. And this guy said at 30, he got a job as a machinist because he liked to work with his hands. So as a college educated man, was in sales, and said, this is what I love to do because I love to make something. And I like what we do because I feel like it's artwork. We take these billets of material and we actually sculpt art out of them. And they're flight safety parts. So if this part fails, the plane fails. Lives matter. And so what we do, again, matters. What we try to do, Alkin, and also was an honor to my father, we started a foundation. And this is our 8th year doing our foundation. We've given away over $140,000. I have a golf outing every year, and I pay whatever it costs me, and everything else goes to giving it away. And like Rosalie said, it's the best part. I love spending it. Really, our partnerships have been with Vaughan College. I give 2 $10,000 scholarships away every year to them, to entering freshmen. And it's helped create a bridge to introduce these students that now know who Alkin is. They already have the passion for the industry because they're going to an aerospace college. But we give internships. We give paid internships over the summer. They see if it's for them. Some say, you know what? We had them in assembly. I like engineering better. And they come into different areas. So that helps expose at an earlier level. Excuse me. When we started the foundation, like I said, it was easy to raise money. It wasn't so easy to give it away. I have worked with Suffolk Community College. We have given 1 scholarship away, working through some kinks there, but John and I are going to speak again next week about really filling that other part that I need. I have a quality need. I have an engineering need. That's maybe the higher level education, but I also have like John said, boots on the ground need. That's still an educated person, but somebody who needs further training in order to do the job. And gone are the days where I have a friend who's a machinist, or my dad was a machinist, or my grandfather was, because Grumman's gone. But manufacturing's still here. We're still alive and kicking. It's amazing to me that Grumman's gone, and Fairchild's gone, and we're still here. And we're still very viable. And there's a lot of us. Our golf outing every year is a lot of fun because it's just really, I don't care, who comes. I just want everybody to sponsor a hole so I can give it money away. And we just have a really good time. It's just industry people hanging out, having a good time. And it's nice to have that camaraderie in an industry like ours that is small but big. Bridging the gap for the workforce that needs the skill on the lower level, like I said, it's also the parents that are a barrier. Rosalie and I spoke about this earlier, and I am a culprit. My daughter said, I want to go to BOCES for hairdressing. And I said, that's great. You'll be a hairdresser with a 4-year degree. Because in my mind, even though I grew up in blue collar, this is where I live, this is in my blood, I think she needs to have a 4-year degree. And I'm trying to change that mindset, and this is interesting, these conversations that we're having, because some of our machinists make 6 figures.
Oh, yeah.
It's a very honorable, not even just the money, but it's very honorable. And like I say, I walk around the shop and I ask all the guys, how do you do this? Why do you do this? They like to work with their hands. And again, what we do matters because we make these parts that fly. We're not making widgets. We're not making razors, whatever. We're making things that are important, and we need the skill for that. And because Long Island still has the support, we have the processing houses, we have the logistics in place, we have Sikorsky. I mean, we send things on a van once a week up in a van just to go up to processing houses and back to us. And I try to tell people in California, as they get saturated by Lockheed Martin in California, that we're a viable option because we have the support. So whatever we can do, I am open to. I'm in a unique position in that I own a business, but I also have money I give away, which is really an oxymoron because as a business owner, you don't have money to give away. So anything I can do and suggestions, if anyone would like to contact me, this is what I love to do. So, but thank you. Thank you for including me in this room and listening to me. I know it's a little simple what I had to say, but I love conversations like this, and I'm open, and I'm very thankful, and really thank you for doing this. And I love your passion. I see how you really listen to what people have to say, and that's wonderful.
Thank you. Thank you. You hit it on the head. You really did. And it's a theme that we've heard across the entire state. Our manufacturers are facing a crisis because our workforce is older.
Yeah.
Our workforce is older. They are in their 60s. And the real question all over the state is,
what do we do now?
What next?
Yeah.
And it's not, 20
from the
years,
government
30
anymore.
years
From a
from
big
now.
company. Yeah.
It's what do we do now? And the point you made is, again, once upon a time, whether it was Grumman out here or Fairchild, whether it was any of our upstate industries that were there, I mean, that were the backbone, whether it was Kodak in Rochester, Carrier in Syracuse, and so many others, they supplied the ready stream of skilled labor. They trained people to do the work. And you had multiple generations working there.
Yep.
And they would start at one point, and they would learn certain skills, and they would develop. Because you had, at one point, we'll take Grumman, at one point they had 40,000 employees here, which means that all of the other companies that were here were able to essentially take someone if they needed them, be able to, ask someone to join them, and they would be able to pluck people away. Well, they're gone. Like you said, they're gone. And so we're left with asking, who is going to train that workforce? We have a Suffolk Community College doing a great job.
Yes.
But we have very few Suffolk Community Colleges across this state because no one realizes that in the absence of those large manufacturers,
We're still here.
we're still here, and no one has filled the vacuum. And that's the challenge, because I think that's what we're beginning to realize is, wait a minute, if we want to develop, if we want to give people opportunities, if we want to allow businesses the best opportunity to expand, and if we certainly want to attract businesses to set up here, they would have set up here if Grumman were here in a heartbeat.
Yes.
Because there was no question that we had a skilled workforce. We still have a skilled workforce, but we're not rebuilding it,
Feeding it,
and we're
yes.
not feeding it. And that's the challenge of what we're doing here today. So I'm telling you, you hit it out of the park, because you've identified those issues that are really challenging us. So what do we do as a state to fill that spot? What do we do? Do we and I think the answer, frankly, in a very simple way, and there are so many different dimensions here, is we got to look to our education system, whether it's high school, through P-TECH or through BOCES, or whether it's our community colleges or higher education system. They're going to have to fill the role that once was filled by large, huge world
Yep.
manufacturers.
Well, I know as a parent, I'm just now starting to go through looking into colleges. With my daughter went to a college fair right in the auditorium over here. But even as a student myself, I depended on my guidance counselor. She told me where I was going to college and what I was good at. She's like, oh, you're going to school, you're going to go to Northeastern because they have a co-op program. I wasn't the studious, and I like to work, and it broke it up. So there is a key point of entry. So educating our guidance counselors. And then secondary is maybe at a college fair, you have a table set up. Maybe I have a table set up at a college fair that says we can train you, or we will train you, or I'll sit next to John, and John will say he'll train you and I'll pay for it.
Yeah. Or we'll say as a state, you know, if you prefer to work with your hands and your brain,
Yes.
we've got a great program at Suffolk Community College that we will pay for as long as it ties back to a job.
Well, and job placement.
And there you go. There are synergies here that we have to work on, but a lot of it has to do with breaking down some of those things that have almost become routine.
Well, again, as a parent, my mindset, you'll have a 4-year degree.
Well, listen, I agree with you. My daughter she's in her first year in college, and we're dealing with that, and it's a natural thing to do.
Well,
but I had
so
it.
expensive now. You can take the $100,000 you're going to spend on that.
Our
Maybe
SUNY
they
is the
start
best
agreeing.
value in the world, by the way. Here's a little plug for SUNY. Great schools, great opportunities, great
Yes.
education. Here's the thing. You know, I had a gentleman who testified at our hearing in Manhattan, who came in. You know, they have that chart that says anyone who's got a high school degree is going to have an average salary of X. Everyone who has a college degree, a master's degree, a doctorate degree, and they have the income scale. And that way, if we don't put people in college, they're disadvantaged because they're not going to be able to earn as much during their lifetime. But there's a fallacy there.
My father never graduated college.
Mine never graduated high school.
Neither did Bill Gates,
And here's my point. You know, my family business is construction. We're a union shop, and I would tell you that anyone who's working in a trade today, with the benefits and the salaries that they're making, is making, by the way, the equivalent as what that person had as a person coming out with a PhD degree.
Wow. And no debt.
And no debt. And an apprenticeship program.
Yeah.
And I'm not saying it's for everybody,
I
but I'm
know.
also saying we should be open to
Yes.
the possibilities, and it's there. And it's there. So thank you. Thank you
you.
very much. I appreciate your testimony. Thanks for being here.
Thanks for having me.
Next, we have Brian Biedenbender, Vice President of Sales Tech. Brian, thanks very much for being here. And you're batting cleanup today.
Yep, I'm batting cleanup, so I'll make sure I go quickly.
No. Take your time. And I thank you for your patience. I know you were here early,
Yep,
and
that's
you've been
okay.
here the whole time. I appreciate it.
That's okay. In my former life, when I used to sit on your side of the table, I used to follow the rule: never be. If you're speaking last before they open the bar, always be quick. So at least we don't have a bar here, so I'll try to be as helpful as possible.
Be fast, be funny, be quick. Yes.
Exactly. It was interesting. So I work for a company named Tech. It's a 42-year-old company based in Huntington Station. And before I started working for Tech, I had never even heard of them. And I had no idea there was at the time, we have about 150 employee company making about $50 million a year on Long Island, selling $50 million a year. So I came about it kind of fortuitously, and I've been there for about 2 years now. And we started in 1972 in a barn in Oyster Bay. It's on the website. When I tell people, they always think I'm making it up. It's still there. It was a barn behind the owner's house. And the business left there after all the neighbors started complaining that the tractor trailers were coming through a residential neighborhood. So we started as a vocational education company, selling to BOCES the equipment they need to train electricians and mechanics and the type of trades that we were talking about. And we moved into selling smart boards in about the year 2000. So we sell to K through 12 schools all throughout New York and New Jersey. We've been selling, we're the exclusive provider for New York City Department of Education. So we've sold 50,000 of these things in the past 25 years and a whole host of other things. So we started selling the smart boards because the owner of our company went to a trade show where he was selling all his wares that would be for vocational training, and he bought a smart board for the display. And at the event, everybody started asking him, what's that thing, as opposed to the things he was trying to sell them. So he took the tip and said, maybe I should sell this thing. So for the past 25 years, we've been selling smart boards. And the thing that struck me about the conversation we were having before I move on to the rest about our company and how this fits into what you're talking about is we talked a lot about Grumman today and about how we could steal from that. My company is we're thieves of CA. So as CA folded, the president, the CEO, the CFO, the CTO, the vice president of operations, and the director of sales operations are all former CA Technologies employees. So we didn't create the company. The company exists as all that team came over to be part of the company. So I think in the same sense that we bemoan the loss of Grumman, the move of CA is leaving us with a similar absence of people who can run a company like ours.
You're right.
That aren't here to do that. So we struggle to find salespeople. We struggle to find sales leaders. They struggled so much that they found a former politician to do it. So it's definitely a gap that we see very frequently. So our business has always been the boards in front of a classroom, and we've been very successful at that. And it's been moving into more STEM-based products. So one of the most popular things we sell now is a 2-foot-tall humanoid robot. And the idea behind it is we're a Long Island company. We're never, ever leaving. The owner of our company, he would rather lose all of his money than ever leave Long Island. And our focus is robotics are going to be the jobs of tomorrow, at least from our estimation. And, you know, Bill Gates has said that robotics will be the personal computers of tomorrow. So we focus on coding and that because we think that's where tomorrow is. So it's been a great conversation today about what we do with current displaced workers or people who are in between jobs or need additional training. But from our perspective, we're in a much longer game.
Right.
With the second grader that I need to start with to move forward. So when I talk about the robot, the very interesting thing and the reason we sell it is because it's not just for a 12th grader who knows how to code. A second grader can do it in a visual way. So the concept that we're trying to bridge is if I can get you thinking about the things that you don't yet have the math or the vocabulary to do at a second grade level, and you can move. As you move forward, when you get there, you already have the thought process and the computational thinking to get you to the place that you want. So just as a quick example, in the South Huntington School District, we helped them do a summer program centered around this robot. And a 6th grader took to it immediately. He just completely enveloped himself in it. So much so afterwards, he went to the manufacturer's website. So he's downloading a bunch of stuff. And there was a test on the website. So he took the test, and the company called him, having no idea that he was 12, trying to hire him. So the company called and he said, Johnny's outside playing softball. And they said, okay, can you get him? And he came in and they're talking to him. He's like, I'm 12. I have a test tomorrow in math. And it was that type of thing because he got so engaged. And I think it's also representative of how much they need talent that somebody filled out a test, and without even qualifying whether it was an adult or a 12-year-old, they called to try to hire the person. So he does some projects for them now.
Did he take the job?
Well, he did not take the job. He was told it was important that he finished 6th grade. So with that, I wanted to talk a little bit about technology in schools. And something that I think is quite important. So there's been a big focus lately on introducing more technology in schools. And from our company's perspective, I think that's the right thing to do. But I think what there's been too much focus. We have customers all throughout the state, and I won't name anybody, but they are buying something so they can tell people that they have it. So I bought all these Chromebooks. I can check off and say the devices in my classrooms. I bought a smartboard, I could check it off. But they're not buying them with a sense of purpose. They're not buying them with a complete picture of how can I implement this. And one of the earlier speakers spoke about a teacher, that we're asking teachers to do this, but we're not providing them with the necessary means to implement it. So the Smart Schools Bond Act that was passed when the voters approved it, I will be perfectly frank, it's going to be Christmas every day for my company because this is what we sell. So we couldn't be happier. The one thing about it that we went to all the forums, we flew around, and we kept impressing upon is that I know for budget reasons it can't use professional development. You can't bond 30 years for professional development, but it requires schools to do the PD around the technology, but it doesn't give them any money to do it. So the schools all want to do this. It's exactly the right thing to do. So what we focus on is providing that. So we don't sell Chromebooks or devices, but we sell all the training around Google in the classroom, Microsoft in the classroom, Apple in the classroom. We don't sell any of the products. Our whole goal is to fuse technology and learning at the same time. So from a workforce development perspective, I think what we need, what we're focused on, is starting as early as possible. And not just, and we turn down, we don't want to just sell a thing so you can tell your teachers and your parents, we have a thing. Because the number of things that, like, I've been in schools where a smartboard's on the wall and a coat is hanging from it because it was raining outside. So what an inordinate waste of taxpayer money. So from our perspective, starting with the children early, centering around STEM, especially on Long Island, and hopeful that one day the robotics could be the replacement here. And we could talk about whatever robotics company grows up that all the other companies can steal from them to grow and seed these larger companies. That's kind of where we are and what we're focusing on as much as possible. But many schools don't have the opportunity. Ms. Silverman, you are an amazing partner of ours. Yes, you're an amazing partner of ours. And we work with a lot of the districts to help them, and a lot of them use your services and your ability to kind of get this technology together. So that's kind of the brunt of my testimony, Senator Martins. If you have any questions, I'd be happy to answer them.
I'm old enough to remember the Commodore when it was first introduced. I remember life before computers, and you're right. We are in the midst of a technological revolution such that the world has never seen, and the need to continue to invest in workforce development is critically important because, frankly, many of our educators, many of our teachers themselves weren't trained in the newest technologies because when they were trained, those technologies didn't exist.
Right.
And so the opportunity to continue to have those opportunities for training, investments in training are critically important. And I agree with you. The tool is the tool, but if you're going to use it as a coat rack, what's the point?
And it's, especially with this big wave, there's really been two huge waves of the introduction of technology in classrooms in this state. The first one was with the ARA funds. There was a humongous introduction of technology. And what we found in those particular cases, and I know this is just a little bit aside of what we're talking about here, is that they bought a lot of stuff and had no means to take care of it. They got a big influx of money. They didn't provide any training, but they got it. And this time we've been a little bit more, I think the state's requirements have been better. We learned and said, you have to have professional development. You have to have a means of maintaining this going forward. So it's not just a one-shot that exists and then disappears. So I think that has been more strategic and certainly more comprehensive. But from our perspective as a company, we're as close to a nonprofit as you could possibly be, while still keeping the doors open. And I mean, because we choose to be, not because we're not. Starting as early as possible, centering around STEM and centering around pieces of technology that can engage children and make teachers more efficient. I think one of the speakers earlier spoke about, if I can get somebody's attention, I can teach them anything. I can teach them absolutely anything. And if I put a robot or I get you up and touching a board, I could teach you anything. So the idea is just that. It requires technology, it requires training, and I think starting there and having the world-class schools that we do and giving them the tools to do it is a means to start avoiding this problem 20 years from now.
Right. You're right. What have they said? When you learn, you only learn what other people have or are prepared to teach you. Mm-hmm. When you encourage a child to dream and to think outside the box to the point of your second grader, you create the possibilities for tomorrow. So that's the challenge. That really is. And I appreciate, not only do I appreciate the company, I appreciate the perspective that you bring to the discussion as well. So thank you very much for being here. Thank you, sir. Thank you. And with that, that is our hearing for today. That is our hearing, I think, for this task force. We are now going to take the testimony that we've heard from the 5 hearings that we've held across New York State. We will be evaluating it and compiling it, and we will be preparing a report, which I hope will lead to many of the suggestions that have been made here today and throughout the state. So for everyone who participated and everyone who's here, thank you. Thank you very much.